permission to speak honestly?
Yeah.
The only one that's benefiting these days is the insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
Think about, does the dentist, no, the insurance company is trying to pay the dentist lower and lower and lower. In the face of rapidly escalating inflation right now, especially wage inflation, PPO plans are trying to pay dentists less.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode here on Beyond the Operatory podcast, brought to you by the amazing team at Dental City. I'm your host, John Stamper, and we're excited to keep this podcast going. And, one of the goals of this podcast, actually, I should say there are two goals of this. One is that the Dental City team wanted to make sure that they are bringing on industry leaders, people in the dental profession that are helping dental practices in a lot of different ways, right? We had Betsy on the leadership side. We had Ken that was really kind of getting into the business aspect of your practice. Of course, we had Dr. Ed Lynn on the ortho side, but Bill Newman from Group Dentistry Now, kind of giving his insights in the DSO space. So I'm very excited for our guest today, Gary Takacs. Now, for those of you that have been in dentistry for some time, or if you're someone that has liked dental podcast, Gary actually goes by the nickname of the Podfather because he started the very first dental podcast. So it's pretty cool to be on this podcast with the gentleman that started the very first dental podcast, which he's going to get into. But what we're going to talk about today, because Gary has worked with dental practices for many years in a lot of different capacities. I think you said close to 1,800 you physically have been in. Is that?
We stopped counting at 1,800.
Okay.
So it's 1,800 plus.
1,800 plus. He's seen it. He's done that. Today's episode, we're going to get Gary's insight on something that might be on the top of your mind, is this shift from dental insurance, the PPO world, to fee-for-service and all that good stuff. Gary, it's great to have you. How you doing?
Oh, mutual. I'm so excited to be here, John, and proud to be part of this podcast episode. Thanks for having me.
All right. So where I thought we would start, just a little bit of context to let everybody know. We touched on it a little bit, your backstory, and then I want to jump right into kind of like where you think things are in this insurance, driven dental world.
Well, it's 45 plus years of experience. That's before some of your listeners and viewers are born.
Yes.
But 45 plus years of experience. I'm not a dentist. I've never been a dentist. My background is the business side of dentistry and the people side, the behavioral side of dentistry. And I do an awful lot of work with teams and dental teams. And I'm excited that we have a lot of teams listening in.
Yes. All right. So let's talk this shift that you're seeing happening, kind of the reason why more and more practices are at least interested in what it may take to move forward with having a fee, that type of practice.
Yeah. I like to call it a reduced insurance dependence.
There you go.
Format.
There you go.
Because you don't have to go all the way to fee for service to improve your practice. Yeah. Every time you successfully resign from a PPO plan, you've improved the practice. Yeah. And there was a survey done last year, surveying dentists throughout the country. And in the survey, the question was, are you considering resigning from at least one PPO plan this year? And 78% of the respondents said yes. So more than 3 out of 4 dentists were considering resigning from at least one, perhaps even more. Yeah. And so it's a trend line, and it's something I couldn't be happier about that. Yeah. As a matter of fact, given the insurance has morphed over time. In the beginning, it was a good plan. If we go back to the 1960s, it was an idea of having dental insurance to help more people develop a pattern of going to the dentist. Right. And in fact, the very first insurance plan was developed by dentists for dentists. And it was the idea of getting more people, into the dentist. Sure. And unfortunately, it's morphed into a very different animal today. Yeah. And, for doctors listening to this, but also team members, resigning successfully improves your practice. Yeah. In so many different ways. But excited to kind of get in the weeds with you on that.
Yeah. So what are some of the initial questions when you either speak with a dentist or their team and they are part of that? What did you say? 78%?
Yeah, they're part of that. More than 3 out of 4 that are like realizing this may not be something we want to do in the future. Yeah. Maybe we want to step away from that. And this fear And, if you look at the word fear, you can think of it as an acronym: false evidence appearing real, FEAR. Mm-hmm. And what dentists and team members are afraid of is they're going to lose all their patients if they go out of network.
Right.
And that simply has not been our experience. Yeah, you'll lose some.
Yeah.
But in the right circumstance, the number of patients that you lose is very small. Mm-hmm. And it's offset by the fact that you're no longer subjected to those deep discounts when you're a PPO provider. And that strengthens the practice.
Yeah.
And dentists and team members should be interested in that.
So I think there's another thing that's shifting, and that is the makeup, I guess you could call the demographics of individuals in the workspace that are, I don't know if you say maybe favorable, but maybe, Gary, can give the dental teams confidence to know that because work is shifting, less and less people are working for organizations where they have these types of benefits, and therefore it just feels like that's kind of where the trend is going. What are you seeing there?
Well, we remember a time when the workforce was very different. It tended to be that people worked for one company for a career, and that's very different today. We have a whole economy that happens now called the gig economy. It's been nicknamed the gig economy, and that includes people that say work for Uber or Lyft, or maybe they're independent sales contractors. Right. That instead of working for one company throughout their career, they now freelance with 4 or 5 different companies. Mm-hmm. And all that's kind of shifting. And then we also have, we think about the other end of the spectrum of retirees. And now retiring doesn't mean just all of a sudden going full speed to the finish line and then stopping. That was what I think my dad's generation did. Yeah. You worked, and then when you hit a certain age and you got the watch and you hit stop. And now people might continue by choice or need, continue to do things they enjoy doing in a work environment. Yeah. And maybe it's part-time. And so what the insurance companies don't want you to know is there's many people in the United States that don't have dental insurance, that do not have dental insurance. Mm-hmm. And yet it could be great patients, in your practice. Yeah. And that universe is actually growing. And let's go find some of them. Let's find people that really appreciate the care and the way we take care of patients. Let's find them to be part of our practice. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, you could get a good patient. Let's pick a name of an insurance company, Blue Cross Blue Shield. I'm just picking a name, random. The truth is, John, I'll ask you, is it possible for an office to get a good patient from Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say absolutely. Yeah. It's entirely possible. Yeah. And any of our listeners will be able to think of a patient that, they originally came and they came because we were contracted with their insurance, and now they've been a patient for many years. Mm-hmm. But many of those patients, if they find you by the insurance plan, they arrive with baggage. Mm-hmm. And I like to pick. Have you ever seen those? Well, you and I have been through far too many airports. Yes. Have you ever seen those travelers that bring way too much baggage? You ever see them kind of dragging their knuckles through the airport? Yes. So imagine your patient that brings baggage, and the baggage that they bring it's the one sentence that every dentist and team member dreads hearing. I only want to have this done if it's covered by my insurance. Yes. And I understand that. I understand economics. But that sort of takes the air out of the balloon for us. Yeah. Instead of asking, doctor, how can you help me be as healthy as possible in regards to my oral health? Mm-hmm. I only want to have it done if it's covered by my insurance. In a way, it somewhat is demeaning what we do. In other words, they only want to have it done if it's free. Yeah. I'm being blunt. Sure. And not everybody is that way. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm interested in great oral health. I'd also like to utilize my benefits. Mm-hmm. Great. Right. We can help you with that. Right. Yeah. But those patients that you only want to have something done if it's covered by their insurance, oftentimes the fact that if they found you by insurance, that's their driving force. Yeah. And that can create challenges because now we have the capability of helping them in so many ways, but they're only interested in if it's free.
What are some other things that are driving this move?
Well, I think one thing that's happening is employers are always tightening their budgets, and they're looking for ways to provide benefits, but they want to pay less for it. Mm-hmm. If you think about the 4 entities that are involved in insurance, there's the patient that receives the care.
Right.
There's the dentist and team that deliver the care.
Mm-hmm.
They're in there. There's the employer that provides the benefits, and there's the insurance company. Mm-hmm. And when we look at those today, in my opinion, I'll be blunt about it. Permission to speak honestly?
Yeah.
The only one that's benefiting these days is the insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
Think about, does the dentist, no, the insurance company is trying to pay the dentist lower and lower and lower. In the face of rapidly escalating inflation right now, especially wage inflation, PPO plans are trying to pay dentists less.
Yeah.
There's the patient that receives the care. And heaven forbid, if your good patient should come in for their hygiene appointment 5 months and 29 days after their last hygiene appointment, what's going to happen with that claim? Denied.
Yep.
Because of the 6-month wait. So the patient, and all the rules and all the games they play with the patient.
Yeah.
With exclusions, things that aren't covered. Many of the services they want are not covered. The employer loses as well because of the way they're getting gouged for the premiums. They're literally getting, and I can prove that by looking at the CEOs of dental insurance companies' compensation.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're CEOs. They're running a complex organization. They deserve to be paid well. But Google what the CEOs of some of the insurance companies are making.
Yeah.
And so the employers lose as well. The only one that wins is the insurance company.
Yeah.
And their goal, this will sound very blunt, and I'm at the risk of being blunt about it. The dental insurance company hopes your patient never goes to the dentist. Because if they never go to the dentist, guess what? They're not going to have to pay any claims.
Right.
And yet think about what we're trying to do in the dental office, trying to help our patients achieve great oral health.
Yeah. You mentioned a little bit about, we're going to get into this in the next episode because we're actually going to get into the type of systems that a practice can set up to instill that confidence in them that they can offer less insurance plans and kind of move towards, fee for service. But what are some, are you encouraged, Gary, that you're seeing that more and more practices, like you mentioned the stats on those that are thinking about it, but are you encouraged, are you seeing little by little that more and more practices are building little bits and pieces of their practice to move closer to fee for service?
And even if they're not ready to resign yet, they're preparing.
Okay.
And one of the things you can do to prepare is develop better and stronger connections with our patients. The more connected, the more relationship driven you are, the stronger position you're in to be able to do this. Because people want to go to dentists and team members who they know, like, and trust.
Right.
So the more you can connect with your patients, simply recognizing a name when they come through the door. John, let's say you have a 2 p.m. dental appointment. As John Stamper on the schedule. And some guy walks through the door at 2 o'clock looking like this. Guess who it probably is? It's probably John.
Yeah.
Hey, John, good to see you. And now with some of the tools we have with dental software, I can have your picture, next to the appointment time. When I see you, I with John, it's so good to see you.
Yeah.
Technology, hey.
Yeah.
We can't remember everybody.
Yeah.
But we can remember the people we're seeing today. John, it's so good to see you. Hey, you're right here on time. Have a seat. I'll be right with you. Those little things.
Yeah.
Looking up from the computer and greeting someone. Yeah.
Makes a big difference. And then finally, as we wrap this episode, what are some different tools that practices are using in an effort to be able to have the confidence to know that they could still offer this care? Because we haven't really gotten into that much, but I know there's, membership plans and all of that. It's not like that there's a complete vacuum, that if all of a sudden you don't offer some of these plans, that you're not going to be able to help these patients on the financial side.
There's more resources than ever. Think about it for a minute. I'll take it a different direction. There's many patient financing tools that are available.
Yes.
So that patients can afford to have the quality of care that we can provide.
Right.
And those options are more abundant today than they've ever been in the past. So we have tools like an in-office membership plan, like you talked about.
Yep.
And as practices expand their scope of service, as they start providing more complex services, it's very likely that we're going to be above annual limits. Think about annual limits with insurance company. Back in the day when insurance companies first came on the surface and first came on the forefront in the 1960s, dental insurances had $1,000 annual max. But now let's think about what $1,000 covered. Okay, think about that. A crown, let's go with 1968. A crown in 1968, I'm just picking a service that's common. A crown typically was around $150. Now, insurance paid 50% of it. The patient paid 50% of it. Patient paid 75. Patient paid 75. How many crowns do they get for their $1,000 annual award? Yeah. Well, I'll do the math for it. I've already done it in my head. Between 13 and 14.
Yeah.
Now, that's not a full mouth reconstruction, but that's a lot of dentistry.
It is a lot.
And there are many insurance companies today that still provide the $1,000 max. How much does that cover? One crown if it doesn't need a root canal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look at the difference.
Yeah.
So in other words, the maximums haven't gone up, to compensate for our increased cost of doing business, the increased cost of delivering quality care.
Yeah.
And yet the max, now I know they're not always $1,000. It could be $1,200. It could be $1,250. It could be $1,500. $1,500 would be a generous plan.
Yeah.
But think about what that covers today, one tooth instead of what used to be 13 or 14.
What's the justification, Gary? I mean, other than big company, lots of dollars, we're not going to be naive to the profits for, a lot of these publicly traded companies, but somewhere along the line, like you have to think to yourself, I mean, I don't know what the performance has been if these companies, if a good portion of dentistry was to opt out of those plans and to start finding creative ways, like how long would it take with any of the information that you've seen to make a real impact where they'd be like, okay, we need to do something, or is it happening?
We're seeing things happening as we speak. Okay. For example, I'll give you two specific examples. For a long time, dental insurance companies were able to set fees on uncovered services. So in other words, a dental implant's not covered under the contract, but they were able to set fees for that. I personally think that's ridiculous. How can you set a fee on something you don't cover?
Right.
It's okay if it isn't covered by the contract.
Yep.
But allow the office to charge what they charge for it.
Yeah.
And now there's been legislation pushed. I want to give some credit to Dr. Brett Kessler, the immediate past president of the ADA. One of his campaigns was to help improve the way insurance is handled in dental offices. And he, among others, pushed through state, insurance companies are regulated by the state.
Right.
So it goes by state. And now many states do not allow dental insurance companies to set fee on uncovered service. I think that's a move in the right direction.
Yeah.
Another one you might be familiar with, 2022, we're going back a little bit in history, but it's relative recent history. The state initiative, the ballot initiative, that went on the ballot in the state of Massachusetts, it's called a medical loss ratio. And in medical insurance, there's state legislation that on medical insurance companies, they're required to pay a certain amount of their premiums out in direct patient benefits. And so the leadership in Massachusetts Dental Association looked at this and said, why shouldn't dentistry try this?
Right.
And so they had to get a ballot measure where they had to get a certain number of signatures to allow this to go on the ballot. And they got enough signers in the state of Michigan to make it a ballot initiative. And I'm sure the insurance companies in Massachusetts thought, this will never pass. Because they ignored it. It'll never pass. And yet it passed in a landslide election. And now if a dental insurance company is writing dental benefits in the state of Massachusetts, a certain percent of the premiums have to go to benefits. And I believe that'll be copied by other states pushing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's a move in the right direction.
Yeah.
But I'd also like to politely suggest that it's a little bit too little too late.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have, for our team members, that our admin team members will know this because they live in that world every day. But if you're an assistant, if you're a hygienist watching this, how does this relate to you? How does this, what does this have to do with you? Well, let's spell it out. So let's say you're doing a service in your practice that is $1,000 fee. I'm just making up a round number.
Okay.
So maybe a more advanced service that it's a $1,000 fee.
Yep.
If the patient doesn't have insurance, you're paid $1,000 for that service. But if they do have a typical PPO with a 45% discount, your office is paid $550, and you cannot collect the other $450. That's the part that you wrote off. How does that affect you? Think about that.
Yeah.
One of my goals as a practice owner was to pay my team members as much as we could, because I wanted to attract and keep the best team members. And it's hard for a practice to do that when you're taking those 45% haircuts.
Yeah. Well, that's encouraging. I mean, again, like you said, it's a big, big mountain to climb, but it feels to me, and we're going to get into this the next episode, is we're going to have you share some tactical things, some things that a practice can do, those that have rose their hand and say, you know what, we do want to move towards having less insurance plans and moving towards what it would look like to have a fee-for-service practice. We'll get into those details, but it is encouraging that at the very least, there's a little bit more chatter out there, and it's
Can I tease our audience just a little bit on this?
Please.
The admin team members that are our business team members or admin team members, when the insurance company doesn't pay what it's supposed to do, who's the patient mad at?
The practice.
They're mad at you.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. You individually.
They're mad at Mary.
Yeah. Yes.
Because the insurance company didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Yes.
And let me punctuate that a little bit. John, you and I know a little bit about Google reviews, and we value helping offices get more favorable Google. And the good news is most dental offices have immensely favorable reviews. But on those 1-star reviews, which I think creates dread among anyone, getting a 1-star review. So there's been a study done recently on the 1-star dental reviews for dental practices. 95% of those 1-star reviews are because of financial confusion. It's not because of what happened. It's not the quality of the care.
Right.
Not for 95%. It could be in the other 5. But for the vast majority of those, they're upset about something financially related to their care. And they take it out in the form of writing
a bad review.
A bad review.
Yeah.
But that's 95% of it.
Yeah.
And if we could, and so what the patient loves to think is, I have insurance and it pays. That's what they love to think.
Yeah.
But in reality, you'd have to read the many pages of fine print to know what's actually covered and isn't covered.
Yeah.
But their thinking is, I have it and it pays.
Yeah.
In fact, it wasn't that long ago when patients would show up with a dental insurance card. And we might ask, do you have any dental insurance that'll be helping with your visit today? And they hand it to you as if it's now your responsibility. It's not mine anymore. So all of that can make a challenging situation for our team. We'll get in the weeds a little bit what to do about those things.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not suggesting that any office should be casual about resigning. You need to be prepared for it. You need to be able to communicate effectively. But there are many patients that understand and can understand over time that my insurance is helpful. It helps. It's not meant to pay for everything. And they'd like to use their benefits.
Yeah.
But if we can shift the conversation to be more about how we can help you improve your health, how we can help you keep your teeth for the rest of your life, keep a healthy, attractive smile the rest of your life, it's a pivot that every practice could benefit from.
Yeah, and I know that's what we're going to get into because you mentioned it earlier. There's also been this capped mindset from a patient perspective that they have looked at what their insurance covers and mentally gone into a year saying, regardless of what I may need, regardless of how it's going to affect my health, like this is my limit, this is my ceiling.
Yeah.
And it's like really seeped into their mindset, which is that's even more dangerous, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to be encouraged about like, if I need to get care done, that there's other options versus like, I'm already going into this and saying like, regardless of what you tell me, I'm not going to get this done.
Right. Yeah, there are in every practice, I'm reflecting on some of my clients where January is often a really good month.
Yeah.
Unless we have weather delays or issues with closures. But with January, it's a long month.
Yeah.
And there's a holiday in there, but it's still a pretty long month.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that's driven by proactive patients that know they have a certain amount of benefits, and they schedule their care in January to take advantage of those benefits. And, you know, maybe it's some things that are more on the proactive nature where they want to take care of things before it becomes bigger problems. And so they're motivated. There's nothing wrong with helping patients maximize their insurance benefits.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I also would like to open up a perspective on the part of the patient that maybe there's things that you could do for me that go beyond my insurance. Do you have more needs than coverage? You know, that's a conversation I'd love to have with more people.
Yeah.
You know, do your needs match your coverage? And very often the answer is not even close.
Right.
And then helping people understand that, well, we want your care driven more by your needs and wants than by what insurance is going to cover. If you have it, we'll be happy to help you with it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Gary, great episode. I think this was kind of episode 1 was, we wanted to do this to kind of set the you know, the context for what's going on in the industry. In the next episode, which we'd love for you to watch, Gary is going to get into, like we talked about, a little bit about the weeds. So you're a dental practice. You're like, okay, we've been thinking about this, but we have no idea where to start. We don't know what the ramifications are. Like, what is this going to mean for the patients that we love that might have insurance? All of those things Gary's going to get into in the next episode. So we'd love to have you. If you watch this on YouTube, love to have you subscribe. Of course, if you listen to this on Spotify or Apple Music, we'd love to have you subscribe as well. Download these episodes. That way, each time we upload a new episode, it'll come through on your listening device of choice. Gary, thanks again. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, John.
You got it.